This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardinas, to use this as an educational material. Good day, everyone. I am Magal Jabertsi, and in this video presentation, our main objective is that you will learn all about the introduction to the study of globalization, which includes Manfred's ideology of globalization, Michael Freden's sentiments, Alder Apardi's contributions, and the scapes of globalizations.
Manfred's ideology of globalization. The modern world is seen as the world without geographical boundaries and any kind of barriers. Globalization has been the major force behind this. Globalization is the integration of the world economy and exchanging the ideas, products, technologies, etc. The globalization hit India late but had huge impact on the nation's economic policies and various other aspects. Globalization is the process of international integration arising from the interchange of worldviews, products, ideas, and other aspects of culture. Globalization means rapid increase in the share of economic activities taking place across nation borders. Integration of economies. First, the increasing reliance of economies on each other. Second, the opportunities to be able to buy and sell in any country in the world. The opportunities for labor and capital to locate anywhere in the world. Third, the growth of global markets in finance.
Dimensions of globalization. There are four types of dimensions of globalization. First is the economic globalization. Economic globalization is global finance and economy, multinationals, networking, international trade, and business, new labor markets, new development, cooperation. And the second one is political globalization. Political globalization is human rights, international terrorism, war, and new security problems. And the third one is cultural globalization. Cultural globalization is multicultural society of different identities, local, political, gender, family, religious, national and individual, and social. And the last one is ideological dimensions. Neoliberalism, dominance, triumph of markets over governments. The reasons of globalizations: better resources, low cost of production, dilution of the local market, operating internationally, market expansion, and increased profit. Conclusion: globalization had increased the trade of products, ideas, technologies, etc., and created a world without boundaries, but it also had some negative impact on the developing countries. Flowing with globalization, India is shining in nearly every prospects. India is getting a global recognition and slowly moving towards to become a major economic and political strength. Though the development is progressing rapidly, still many basic problems like rural poverty, corruption, and political instability remain unsolved.
Hi, I'm Eugene Cadet de la Torre, and I'm here to report what is Michael Freden's sentiments into globalization and who is Michael Fredens. Michael Fredens is a professional research associate of the Department of Politics and International Studies, School of Oriental and African in University of London. He is also Emeritus Professional Fellow at Mansfield College, Oxford in the year of 2013 and 2015. He was a professor of political theory in the School of Politics and International Relations at the at the University of Nottingham. He is a leading theorist of ideology. He is a founder and editor of the journal Political Theory. What are the three criteria suggested by Frieden to assess the maturity of globalization? Following Michael Frieden's in 1996, the three criteria that Michael Frieden suggested was the degree of distinctiveness, second, their context-bound responsiveness to broad range of political issues, and the third is the ability to produce effective conceptual. The article of Frieden seeks to establish that globalism not only represents political ideas and beliefs but also it constitutes the dominant of ideology, and his article relies on three criteria of ideology's maturity of globalism, which I shared earlier, and his article also urges the claims to observe and rearrange of it and pieces of several established ideologies, and his article also ends with a short experimental thought exercise just to bring insight gained from critical analysis of globalism.
The growth of diversity. John Stuart Mill's On Liberty has become one of the archetypal texts of British, indeed modern, liberalism. We learn from it that liberalism is about identifying a protected private space distinct from the public arena. But behind the overtext and other texts by Mill are a number of subtexts that have been crucial in shaping its direction later this century. The emergence of social utility. Mill's utilitarianism was essentially a temporal doctrine for which current conduct has no relation to past or future activities. He asserted that we ought to shape our conduct by a rule which all rational beings might adopt with benefit to their collective interest. It introduces a notion of social utility, which identifies the limits of justice as a procedure, in stark contrast to recent North American philosophical liberalism. The social theorist and idealist Ritchie advanced some of the arguments. History as a liberal project. What was the liberal project all about? The themes found in incipient form in Mill's writings have become more salient in the 20th century. This was not a particular liberal view of history, but rather a historical view of liberalism, which regarded it as a set of beliefs itself, crucially subject to historical processes. Liberalism is a carrier of truth moving in an expanding circle of ideas, spreading as a especially contingent universalism. Liberal constraints on reason. Recent liberal philosophy sees liberalism in various forms as an exercise in reducing the chances of arbitrary conditions over which we have no control affecting our lives. One of these is the impossibility of their application in the real world, not only because they may be impractical, but because they offer a highly improvised and truncated view of liberalism. Another is that, compared with each other, they move in contradictory directions. Liberalism, like any ideology, needs to recruit broad political support in order to succeed.
Arjun Appadurai contribution. Arjun Appadurai is an Indian-American anthropologist born in 1949 and recognized as a major theorist in globalization studies. In his anthropological work, he discusses the importance of the modernity of nations, states, and globalization. He is the former professor of the anthropology and South Asian languages and civilization in University of Chicago, also the humanities dean of the University of Chicago, director of the City Center on Globalization at Yale University, and the Education and Human Development Studies professor at NYU Steinhardt School of Culture. Some of his important works include Worship and Conflict Under Colonial Rule, Disjuncture and Difference in the Global Cultural Economy, of which an expanded version is found in Modernity at Large, and Fear of Small Numbers. He was elected a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Science in 1997.
As we have already established, globalization refers to the increasing pace and scope of interconnection crisscrossing the globe. Anthropologist Arjun Appadurai has discussed this in terms of specific scapes or flows: ethnoscapes, technoscape, ideascapes, financescapes, and mediascapes. Thinking of globalization in terms of people, things, and ideas that flow across nation boundaries is a productive framework for understanding the shifting social landscape in which contemporary people are often embedded in their daily lives. Question about where people migrate, their reasons for migration, the pace at which they travel, the way of their lives change as a result of their travels, and how their original communities change can all be addressed within this framework. Question about goods and ideas that travel without the accompaniment of human agents can also be answered using a Padurai's notion of scapes.
I'll be discussing about the scapes of globalization. As what have discussed on my previous teammate regarding with Arjun Apardai's contribution to globalization. And one of the famous contribution that he has are the five scapes of globalization. Namely, the ethnoscapes, technoscapes, educapes, financescapes, and mediascapes. So I'll be discussing to you these five scapes or flows individually. So the first one is the ethnoscapes. Ethnoscapes refer to the flow of people across boundaries. So let us just say that most of us are coming from the province, and we would like to go to the city since it is having a lot of opportunities for us to have monies, or like we want to be employed in a good company. And yes, moreover, we Filipinos are known to have a lot of OFWs, or the overseas Filipino workers, so that we can gain a lot of opportunities in the other countries instead staying in our own nation. The second one is technoscapes. Technoscapes refers to the flow of technology. One of the best example of these are the use of iPhones. So the use of iPhones across boundaries really gives people the desire to upgrade more. If there are newly released phones like coming from the iPhone 5 going to iPhone 7, and from the iPhone 7 going to iPhone 10, and then to the newest or the updated one, which is the iPhone 13. And most of the result of these, people are committing suicide, and that's due to their desires to have this goal to have the newest updated phone. The third scape is the eduscapes. So from the name itself, edu refers to the flow of ideas. So basically, we are living in the millennial time. So we often post our personal ideas regarding with what we have in our thoughts, like if it's all about love, if it's all about politics, if it's all about religion. So that's how it works, and it will pass go across borders. Financescape refers to the flow of money across political borders. And like the other flows discussed by Aphrodite, this phenomenon has been occurring for centuries. Yes, indeed, since one of the reason why colonialism occurs in a centuries before, due to finances or due to the gold. And yes, One of the examples is that the Spanish conscripted indigenous laborers to mine the silver veins of the Potosí mines of Bolivia. And lastly, the mediascapes. Mediascapes refer to the flow of media across borders. And yes, it is relevant to the eduscape that I have discussed earlier, but mediascapes really refers in how the media work across borders. So in earlier historic periods, we actually used emails in order for us to pass informations, news in the other countries, and it will really take um, months, years in order for them to know on what the news is all about. And right now, since we are already in the millennial time or era, we can already pass the news or what we're going to send with them, the messages. Like we can just give them a free text message or just chat on the messenger. And yes, one of the medias are actually all of the social medias that we used everyday lives. And yes, one of it are the Brazilian telenovelas may provide entertainment on long distance African bus trips. Bollywood films are shown in Canadian cinemas, and people from around the world regularly watch mega events such as the World Cup and Olympics from wherever they may live.